Hello there, my name's Mr. Green, for those of you who don't know me, and I teach art at Stokesley School. The book I'm going to read is by one of my favourite childhood authors. I'm going to have to change the name of the main character, so I'll pick a random surname for him, completely random. Otherwise, if I used his real name, it would give the game away. You would know what the book was straight away. Here we go. What a lot of hairy-faced men there are around nowadays. When a man grows hair all over his face, it's impossible to tell what he really looks like. Perhaps that's why he does it. He'd rather you didn't know. Then there's the problem of washing. When the very hairy ones wash the faces, it must be as big a job as when you and I wash hair on our heads. So what I want to know is this. How often do all these hairy-faced men wash the faces? Is it only once a week like us on Sunday nights? And do they shampoo it? Do they use a hairdryer? Do they rub hair tonic in to stop their faces from going bald? Do they go to a barber to have their hairy faces cut and trimmed? Or do they do it themselves in front of the bathroom mirror with nail scissors? I don't know. But next time you see a man with a hairy face, which will probably be as soon as you step out onto the street, maybe you will look at him more closely and start wondering about some of these things. Mr. Jones was one of these very hairy-faced men. The whole of his face, except for his forehead, his eyes and his nose, was covered in thick hair. The stuff even sprouted in revolting tufts out of his nostrils and ear holes. Mr. Jones felt like this hairiness made him look terrifically wise and grand, but in truth he was neither of these things. Mr. Jones was a twit. He was born a twit, and now at the age of 60 he was a bigger twit than ever. The hair on Mr. Jones's face didn't grow smooth and matted as it does on most hairy-faced men. It grew in spikes that stuck out straight like the bristles of a nail brush. And how often did Mr. Jones wash this bristly nail brushy face of his? The answer is never. Not even on Sundays. He hadn't washed it for years. As you know, an ordinary unhairy face like yours or mine simply gets a bit smudgy if it's not washed often enough. And there's nothing so awful about that. But a hairy face is a different matter. Things cling to hairs, especially food. Things like gravy go right in among the hairs and stay there. You and I can wipe our smooth faces with a flannel, and we quickly look more or less all right again. But the hairy man cannot do that. We can also, if we're careful, eat our meals without spreading food all over our faces. But not so the hairy man. Watch carefully next time you see a hairy man eating his lunch. And you will notice that even if he opens his mouth very wide, it's impossible for him to get a spoonful of beef stew or ice cream and chocolate sauce into it without leaving some of it on the hairs. There you go. Hopefully you will be familiar with that book and you'll know what it is straight away. If not, when you find out, it's well worth reading. I would recommend it. Bye.